Welcome, UC Bearcat fans, to UC Bearcats on the Prowl, part of the Growing Truth Radio Network, all brought to you by mybookie.ag. Mark, who's our guest today?
Yeah, James, our guest, is Bearcat safety Carter Jacobs. So, Carter, welcome to the show.
How's it going, guys? Thanks for having me.
Good. And, Carter, what we can do is, if you want to start off and just let everybody know what's going on with you. The season's just relatively, ended relatively short time ago. But if you want to go ahead and catch us up on what's happening with you and what's going on.
Well, as of recently, I just moved back down to Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and signed an agent about 2-3 weeks ago with NA3 Sports Agency, and then just started to get my training underway with D2D Performance down in Florida with my athletic or my trainer, Mike Smith, and we've been getting after it so far and training for Pro Day and trying to get ready for the next level.
Excellent. That's awesome, man. And obviously we wish you luck with that, and hopefully it all goes well with you. I'll start with the questions. With the training you're doing, it's only been a couple of weeks now, but what are you guys focusing on the most? You focusing on speed? You focusing on weights, or is it a good mix of both?
For the most part, it's a lot of mix of both, but there's certain things that we work on. I mean, I got a body evaluation done by a specialist to see what I should work on most, and he just will tell you oh, your right hip's not as strong as your left hip, and you need to work on this and that, and little things like that. But for the most part, we've been doing a lot of speed work, and we've been hitting the weights, and we're also doing a lot of position work and skill stuff down there too, because that's what a lot of the Pro Day consists of, is going out and doing some drills.
Okay, like shuttles and that kind of stuff, and
yeah, and then position specific drills, like DB drills, flipping your hips, see if you got good hips, open up. So things like that, and we have a lot of good guys down here that know a lot of position skill drills. Excellent. I'm going to be working with Sam Madison, who played for the Miami Dolphins and the New York Giants.
Very cool.
Oh, well,
that's
you
awesome.
can't go wrong with an expert like that.
Oh yeah, I've been working with Sam for a while. I've had a bunch of coaches that have been former Miami Dolphins. Patrick Surtain's the head coach of my high school, who's also a Miami Dolphin and a Kansas City Chief. And working with them and working with guys that have been there and stuff, it actually helps a lot, and you get to really get a grasp on how it's really played at the next level.
It's awesome. Yeah, James and I are probably both old enough to remember when they played. So it's pretty cool that you get to train with those guys. So you're working on both the speed and the strength, and that. What's the biggest thing that you have to work on?
I feel like I just need to start fine tuning some of my position work, and then just kind of prove that I have the speed to play the position, because it's there. It's just sometimes I'm not in the right position to utilize it. So that's mainly what we've been working on.
Very cool. And have any, and I'm not real familiar with the process, have any teams reached out to you about coming to the Pro Day, or is that something that may happen further down the line?
So that happens further down the line. I just signed an agency, and they just started getting all my stuff out just like a week or two ago. So then they start reaching out to you towards later on in the process. They'll get down to you down the road, and there's gonna be a couple of them out at where I train, because I'm training with Sony Michel, who just had one crazy game the other day. Yeah. And then Tavares McFadden, who's a corner for Florida State, who last year led the country in interceptions. So those are the two guys. It's just us three training together, and we all went to high school together. So.
Oh, that's awesome. That's great. Yeah, must have been a heck of a high school team.
Yeah, it was kind of like an all-star team. It wasn't really fair. I mean, win the state championship game 6-8, and they were selling the shirts at halftime, and we were just kind of relaxing at halftime at that point.
Hey, it's a good position to be in,
Yeah.
Not one I'm familiar with from my playing days, but yeah, that's a good position to be in.
Yeah.
So you play safety at UC. Did you come up playing safety through high school? Did you play another position?
Yeah, so throughout high school I played safety all 4 years. I never played on JV. I started my high school career at Archbishop McCarthy for a year, and then me and about 12 other players picked up and left, and we went to American Heritage and Plantation. And from there, we pretty much started putting together a team, and then by my senior year, we won state championship, and I played safety throughout the whole time. I got in the box a lot in high school because a lot of teams down in Florida were running the ball at the time, and now it's all spread out. Everyone's throwing the ball down there.
Okay. Yeah, and so what brought you to Cincinnati?
Initially, Tyler Cogswell went there as a tight end, and he went to high school with me, obviously. He was a year before me, so he went up there, and then they started showing interest in me. Eddie Grant, who's at Kentucky, was showing a lot of interest, and then they said they wanted to take me up there for a camp. So I went up to a Friday Night Lights camp. I mean, it's like 4 years ago. About 4 or 5 years ago, I went up to a Friday Night Lights camp in the summer, and absolutely just crushed it. Did my thing, and got the offer. And I really just saw the campus and fell in love with like the people there and the campus and everything about the city. I mean, I was dumbfounded, and I just wanted to be there. And I committed, I think, a week later, maybe even less than that. It might have been like 3 to 4 days later. I got home, ended up committing there.
Very cool. That's awesome. You liked everything up here except the weather, right?
It was actually cold too when I was there, or not in the summer. I went on another visit, and it was freezing.
Yeah.
But I really wanted to kind of explore the weather because I grew up in Florida my whole life, so it was really hot, and I was like, I kind of want to get out and kind of see new things, and that was kind of me venturing out. I want to check out the cold weather. Then I realized how lucky I was growing up in Florida with just warm weather all year round.
Tell me about it, man. Tell me about it. The old saying up here is if you don't like the weather, wait a couple hours, it's going to change on you. So
yeah.
You get to deal with some extremes. So well, that's awesome, man. Glad you ended up here. Now, you were recruited by Tuberville staff.
Correct.
And you stuck it out for this year with Fickle. What were the main differences you saw between the two coaching styles, the two staffs?
I think big difference between it was the intensity, and I think Fickle's on the right track with the team in terms of intensity and where they're going in the right direction. I think Tuberville's staff was a lot more schematics. They tried to put players in certain positions that fit them the most. We had, Shaq Washington and whatnot, and those 5 great receivers, so we were running the spread. And now, we're doing a little bit of everything. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it's a lot different with Coach Fickle's staff. They do a lot of we do a lot of intense workouts. Practice is more intense. Everything's way quicker, but it's a lot more energy. There's a lot more juice to it. So, I think he's got everything going in the right direction.
Yeah, and what a testament to the athlete you are, the kind of player you are. It didn't seem like you really missed a beat between the two coaches. You had yourself a pretty good season this year. Looking at your individual stats and all that. So I think that's like I said, a testament to the player that you are, that you can go from one style of play to another style of play and pick up the schemes easily. So I think that's awesome because you had a good senior year.
I appreciate that. And I think a lot of it came down to I just had a great coach. I mean, John Tunuta, the safeties coach, has been coaching for 40-some years, and he's been everywhere as a defensive coordinator. And to have like a seasoned veteran guy that's literally seen every play known to man and can tell me what play is going to happen before it happens. And he really showed me the ropes and kind of taught me a lot in the 6 months that I've had him, and it really seasoned me to be a veteran player.
That's cool. Well, it sounds like we just lost James there, just as I was getting ready to turn it over to him. So I'll keep going. What do you think was your best game of this year?
Personally, I think the UConn game was probably one of my best games.
Mm-hmm.
To finish it off with the interception, I had 13 tackles, I think.
Mm-hmm. It was 12 of them were solo.
Yeah, it was either I would say it's between that game and then the Marshall game that we lost. I think I had a good game in that game as well.
Yeah, you did, and looking at that UConn game, it, at least on ESPN, got you for 13 total tackles. 12 of them were solo with 1 assist, and then you had the interception with a 21-yard return. It's tough to say that wasn't your best game. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
James, you back with us?
Yeah, my Verizon, I don't know, they've been acting up tonight for some reason.
Yeah, I told Carter I was just getting ready to turn it over to you, and you left. So I just asked him which game this past season he thought was his best, and he told us it was the UConn game, which, looking at the stats, it definitely was. I definitely agree with that. So I was going to turn it over to you now, James, and let you get a couple questions in.
Oh, definitely.
Uh-oh, I think we're losing you again, James.
Yeah.
Okay, hey, you know what? No big deal. I can keep going. So, okay, so Carter, when they're looking at your moving forward, with your pro day and everything, are they talking more free safety? Are they talking more strong safety for you?
Right now, just in general, they're looking at me for both currently because my football IQ is so advanced, I can play both spots. I mean, if you watch this year, I kind of bounced around from both sides just because I have a good understanding of the game and I know what positions I got to be put in. But right now they're looking more towards free safety and having me in the box and
I have
just moving around.
No idea. It's never done this before.
That's all right. Hey, James, I'll just keep on going, man. You know me. I can ask a ton of questions. The last one I just asked, I was asking Carter, looking forward, were they looking at him more as a free safety or a strong safety? And Carter, you said both, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, and mainly because of his football IQ, being able to pick up on both of those. Now you said you did a little bit of both your senior year. Was that more schematic or was that more needs-based?
I would say it was more needs-based. I mean, they like moving me around because teams would try to pick up on what I was doing in terms of our scheme. So they like moving me around and helping other teams not be able to get a beat on what I was doing because that was a key factor in what we were trying to accomplish.
Okay. Yeah, because a lot of times there's the old saying that if you look in your safeties, one of your leading tacklers, there's something going on, something not getting done up front. You don't always want your safety to lead the team in tackles, but you said you came down into the box a lot this past year, right?
Yeah, I was coming in the box a lot, and they had me in a couple of run fits, so I was needed down there, and I was put in the position to make those plays. There were occasions where obviously it wasn't supposed to happen, where I wasn't supposed to have that many tackles in the game, but it happens. And as long as I make it, we live to play another down. That's my position. That's the point of what I'm doing.
Cool. All right, James, I'll turn it over to you now.
Excellent. So, Carter, tell us about the impact that Coach Mike Rump had on you.
It was incredible. So he came in my sophomore year of high school, and they were saying, this is Mike Rump. He was a first-round draft pick for the 49ers, played with the 2001 Hurricanes with Ed Reed and Sean Taylor and all these big names. And I'm like sitting there as a 15, 16-year-old kid, like, who is this guy? Like, I've never heard of him. So then I look into him, and he's this big old deal down here, and he was coaching like youth football, and then comes into my life and just turns it around. I mean, he made me disciplined in everything I did. He was teaching me good eye discipline and just making me and trying to mold me into a great football player. And I think he did an excellent job. I mean, and to see him exceed and excel where he's at now, and now he's over at University of Miami as a corners coach, it is a true testament of how good of a coach he is and how good of a person he is.
I agree with you. I mean, I was able to watch him play, just an amazing athlete and just a smart heads-up player. And it's nice to hear that he's doing quite well in the coaching realm. So what was it like hitting the ground running at UC? You mentioned you had, started or been on varsity all 4 years, and then, of course, with UC, playing from the jump. What was that like?
So from freshman year playing from the jump at UC, it got harsh at times. I mean, you kind of get thrown into the fire in certain situations, and you're not really ready for the speed of the game when you're a freshman mentally. You just you don't pick up on things as fast. And I thought mentally I was ready. Like, I knew what I was doing. But once you get into the speed of the game, it's just experience. Experience comes a long way. And towards the end of the year, you start to get worn out because you're not used to playing long seasons like that and the games going on that long in high school because the games are shorter and you got running clocks and whatnot. But I thought playing my freshman year, getting thrown into the fire, was one of the best things that ever happened because you really start to learn the speed of the game and what you need to do and what positions you need to be put in. And I thought it was just a tremendous experience for me.
And then that game against Miami in your freshman year, when you got that fumble recovery for a touchdown, did you feel like you had really made it at that point?
So when that happened, I was kind of in shock. Like mid-play, I saw the ball on the ground. I was like, I just picked the ball up and I'm running with it. And I was kind of like shocked that I had the ball. And I felt I wasn't even running as fast as I could go because I was kind of still in shock running with the ball. So then I end up scoring, and it's kind of was just all a blur, to be honest. I just scored a touchdown literally in my home state, like with all my family and friends here. And I didn't think I made it, but I thought, wow, like I just did I just made my first touchdown at the collegiate level. Like this is a big step towards what I want to do with my life.
Nice. That you were able to do that in the home state. I mean, like you said, that must have made it extra special, being able to be around the friends and family and to show what you can achieve. I mean, it sounds like looking at other players that have come from your high school, American Heritage. I mean, you all must take a huge amount of pride out of just how you've done as a group.
Oh, yeah, and, I mean, you walk into the weight room over there and you see all these guys and you're like, oh, my gosh, like, you can create an all-star team, a college all-star team with all these guys. I mean, you got Sony Michel, who's just scored 4 touchdowns at the Rose Bowl 2 nights ago. You got Isaiah McKenzie, who's the punt returner on the Denver Broncos. You got all these guys that you're just like, they're everywhere. They're all over the country, and they're all making plays and doing their thing. And a big thing that they like to say around there is that we were just built differently down there on our team.
Obviously, we don't have to ask you twice probably who you're rooting for the national title.
Yeah, I'm all in for Georgia right now. I mean, Sony's going to be training with me, and that's been my buddy since high school, and I think he's going to lead them to it, and I really hope they get it done.
Definitely. We wish them the best. However, of course, being, from the state of Florida, what's your thoughts on the real national champion? They've already ended their season. Obviously, they're part of the Big Six conference with you, so, the real national champions.
I was actually happy for UCF. I mean, a lot of people don't like to root for the American Conference, but our conference in general is a great conference, and it's one of the most is the most competitive conference I think in college football in terms of how even level playing field it is. And I was happy for them to go out with a win like that, and have Scott Frost, the coach, was super respectful and tremendous of him to still coach in that last game before going up to Nebraska.
Exactly. That's one of those things, unfortunately, you don't see enough nowadays with the coaches. Right. You might as well stick it out and, finish the season. How do you not, be like asking someone to marry you and then not showing up for the wedding? It just doesn't make any sense.
I think that's a lot of the mistakes that coaches make in college football. I mean, you grow an attachment to some of the guys, and then, you just pick up and leave and don't say anything to them, and it's kind of just like, that's it? That's how our relationship ends? But I think he's doing it the right way, and I think he will continue to do things the right way as a coach down the line.
You talked about how that you played, every game your freshman year. How have you been able to stay healthy and only miss that one game in your junior year?
So at UC's got a great athletic training staff, and they really got a good program down there. Bob Mangine's running. And to be honest, they have a partnership with the United States military where they they get a bunch of different equipment that helps in the recovery process. And I think, personally, I literally raised my hand. I'm like, hey, you can test everything out on me. I'll use it, anything that helps.
Yeah.
So I do a lot of the float tank stuff, and they have this laser bed and help recovery and whatnot. And that's really what I would use in order to try to stay healthy throughout, all my years of playing.
So it sounds like it's working, kind of that whole James Harrison kind of mentality where, might as well try it.
Yeah, I mean, if it's not going to kill you, you might as well try it. And I think a lot of people get scared of certain things. They're like, dry needling, where you're putting needles in your back and stuff like that. People get worried about stuff like that because they're like, what if it hits a nerve and I do this or that? You got to trust the people that are doing it. I mean, that's what they do for a living. It's their job. So I say, hey, if it doesn't kill me, it should help me out.
Now, the float tank, that's the one where they fill it up with, is that with salt water and stuff?
Yeah, it's high salt water.
Basically, yeah.
And you just lay in it and float. It's about a 96-degree water-ish around there. It's body temperature.
Okay.
And you just float in there for about an hour. And you put on music. They have a little aux cord and input, and you just put on whatever music you want. So I put on some relaxing, Coldplay or John Mayer or something like that. And I'll go to sleep for about an hour.
And that's crazy.
They say an hour of sleep in there is equal to 4 hours of regular sleep.
Oh my gosh! Because I know that's kind of just now hitting the mainstream. There's places around here that you can go do that, and that amazes me. And I got to say, Bob is awesome. Every year, the youth coaches in the area, I coach in the Catholic League here. We go to UC for training, to talk with everybody. And Bob has been a speaker. Oh gosh, I've been coaching now almost 10 years in this league. We've listened to him probably about 7 or 8 times, and he's awesome. You guys are really lucky to have him, and you're right, he is on the cutting edge and does all that crazy stuff, but it works.
Yeah, I think he's a great guy, and he really knows what he's doing. I mean, he's been doing it for a while, and I think that's just like in football, the experience comes a long way.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, probably the most important question of all. I mean, even more important than the sports questions. Are you part of the dark side, or are you a Jedi?
You beat me to it, James, because I had one queued up.
I think I'm more on the Jedi side. I mean, that's just me. Tyler Cogswell and me have always been big on this. He's more of the Darth Vader type guy, and I'm more of a Luke guy. I'm a good guy, and he's the bad guy, and that's kind of how it's always been.
What's your thoughts on the new movies? Were they, pretty good? Did you like them?
I liked them. The new one was good. There was a couple things that bothered me in terms of the movie. I don't want to say anything to spoil anything because I don't know if everyone's seen it. But I think it was all around a good movie. A couple flaws that people did not like, and I've got a consensus on it.
Yeah, I thought it was great. I took 3 of my 4 kids. I got a 4-year-old, and I didn't think he was ready for it.
Yeah,
I went and saw it, and it's a good movie. You're right. There are some parts where you're like, okay, what's going on here? But there are some other parts where it happens, and you're like, holy crap!
I always go twice.
How did they even think of that?
I always go once when it first comes out, and then I go a week or 2 later, just to make sure I didn't miss anything.
Yeah, that's a good move because as we saw it recently, and there's a lot to digest there, and one part. And James, have you seen it, James?
No, I don't. I'm not into those too much.
I'm not giving away anything here, but Carter, the part where it goes silent.
Oh yeah.
I was sitting there and I was thinking, okay, is this supposed to be this way, or did something screw up? Or is there something wrong? And and you kind of get that sense from everybody in the theater, and then when the sound came back in and stuff, you're like, oh man, that was crazy. But
yeah,
I thought it was a good movie.
100%, I agree.
So out of those characters, which one do you, throughout the series, do you relate to the most?
Which do I relate to the most?
Yeah, like you mentioned, you're kind of the Luke Skywalker, you think, or Han Solo, or?
Honestly, I would probably say Anakin Skywalker,
oh wow, okay,
like a prequel one where he was a little younger and a little unstable. Because when I'm off the field and stuff like that, I'm a nice guy, I'm talking, but when I'm on the field, I can be a little harsh and I can really lay into it with people on the other team and kind of get into it.
That's a good call, man. That's a good one. I'm not. I don't care for the prequels, so I never would have gone there. But that's a good call.
So, Carter, if fans are wanting to learn more about you or more about the organization that you're going through, NA3 Sports, where would they find out more about them on social media or you?
Instagram probably right now. Facebook, I'm starting to use Facebook a little more. I feel like I'm getting older, and all the old people are using Facebook, so I figured I might as well get on. But
that's awesome.
I haven't really been on the Twitter a lot lately. I mean, I've kind of backed away from Twitter a little bit. I'll go on and look through stuff, but I don't really tweet a lot. But I'll be on Instagram a bit and Facebook, and if anyone wants to contact me, feel free.
Excellent. So we wish you the best of luck with the training, and it sounds like things are going in the right direction. Hopefully we'll be out at the UC Pro Day to be able to see your performance, and we wish you the best with that.
Appreciate that, guys.
Yeah, man. Keep working hard. You've done it for the 4 years at UC and the years before. Keep it up. I think you got a good future ahead of you, man.
Appreciate that. Really means a lot. The support really gets me through everything, and not many fans know that, but the support from the fans and guys like you, James, and Mike, and all these other guys. I mean, that's what keeps a lot of these athletes going. And then whenever they get the hate and all the, oh, he did this, he did that wrong, but that stuff's hard for them to block out because that's all they think about. But all the good stuff is what really keeps everyone going.
Awesome. James, you still with us?
Yes, I'm still here. I didn't.
Okay, cool. Thought we lost you for a second, man.
No, the phone's been acting up. But, yeah, definitely we would love to have you back on after you're drafted and, discuss that, or after training camp, something around there, and just, keep in touch and definitely let the Bearcats fans know how things are progressing with you.
Of course. I'd love to get on after draft day and during training camp or whatever you guys want. I'm always open to it. Thanks for having me, guys.
Awesome. Thanks, Carter.
Yeah, awesome young man. I mean, been working hard. He deserves it, his success. I mean, I remember, shoot at the different games this year, just being impressed because he plays at a different way than a lot of the other players out on the field. I mean, his intensity level, you can, like he said, with the whole Anakin Skywalker thing, I'm not a big Star Wars guy, but even I know he was more one of those intense fellas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that's what's going to help him going forward. Bringing that intensity into his workouts, bringing that intensity into his training. And, man, I mean, seriously, the people that he's got helping him, Patrick Surtain, all those guys, I mean, like I said, those are guys we grew up watching play and know what they've got. He's in good hands. So I'm looking forward to good things from him. He always struck me as a bit more physical safety than most, and I think that will help him on the next level.
Yeah, Jason Sehorn, a John Lynch, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're right about feeling old because, when you were saying those names, I'm like, they just retired like a year or two ago. Yeah, I'm like, I'm like, Because, I mean,
and the fact that he had to look up Mike Rumpf, I'm like, hold on, time out. I watched him play in college.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, for the U, I mean, just all the things he did there and then going to the Niners.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing about Carter is he's the kind of player that you can say you're proud to have had played at your school. A good young man, a good hard worker, and obviously, as we told him, we wish him the best, and we expect big things out of him.
Exactly. Well, we definitely want that because anytime a Bearcat's doing well, that's always a nice thing to have. Just helps build the university and keeps that positivity going.
Yep.
So let's get caught up with basketball. It's been a little bit since we've been able to do the show.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, even though it's been a little bit, they've only played one game. They took out Memphis on New Year's Eve because our last show was on the 21st, and they had just beaten Cleveland State that night. So they went out against Memphis and showed that the extended period off did not really hurt them too much. They took it to Memphis.
Yeah, I didn't. Wow. Yeah, that tells you how observant I've been of late with everything. I had no idea they beat them that bad. I mean, I heard they won, but dang, 82-48. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was a butt whooping. I mean, the thing is, it was odd. I was watching it on New Year's Eve with my brother when we were down in Hilton Head, and it was just one of those things where you're like, okay, they're going to pull away, but then you look down and you realize, shoot, they're already up 20. Yeah, I mean, how much more do they have to pull away? And they just dominated that game. Gary Clark continues to progress. He had 13 points and 10 rebounds, already his fourth double-double. Jaron Cumberland, he had 15 points. Those two looked really good. And, I mean, Jacob Evans was out there scoring in double digits, dishing off assists. It was a good game, and on top of all that, Kane Broom didn't play because he had a high ankle sprain. So, we were limited to Justin Jennifer at point guard, and, he did fine. So it was a really good all-around performance. I mean, they won by 34 points. So it's hard to find much fault in that. And it was against Memphis. I mean, Memphis may not be – they're 9-5, but anytime you can beat Memphis, it's a good thing. Your old Conference USA and Great Midwest rivals. So.
Yeah, I mean, Memphis is not a bad team. That's the part that really baffles me. I mean, them and Northern had a really nice game earlier this year. I think they beat Northern by 2. So, I mean, they're not a bad team. The other one, if they played Xavier or not. But that is just amazing. And then, of course, tomorrow night they got the big game against Temple.
Yeah, man, I hate playing Temple. It's just, for some reason, I feel that they always give the Bearcats just a very difficult game. But I'm trying to look it up here real quick what the scoop is on the game, but I can't. They don't have anything about spreads or anything. Let's see.
Well, go to mybookie.ag. That's right, mybookie.
There you go.
And they probably have a spread. But, I agree with you. Now, of course, let's be honest. Part of the reason why we always think Temple and giving UC a tough time, and it's because we're old, and the whole John Chaney thing.
Exactly, John Chaney.
Yeah.
The man gravelly voice SOB.
Actually thought it was an owl at one point.
Yeah, no, there's still that. But, looking at them, they're 7-6 overall. 0-2 in the AAC. So on paper, this should be a win for UC. Let's see, Temple ranks 230th in points per game, and they rank 189th in defense. So UC is fourth in defense and like 64th in offense. So again, on paper,
but it'll be closer. Yeah. It'll be definitely closer than the Memphis game. Obviously, since, the Memphis game was a home game for the Bearcats, went to being on the road, and like you said, Temple just plays them tough. So, hopefully hopefully they don't trip up and aren't paying attention and, continue to keep doing the right things. And then, of course, the following game after that is Sunday, and I'm looking forward to that against SMU at 6 o'clock at BB&T Arena. I mean, that place has been great for the Bearcats. I mean, they haven't lost at home yet. It's been really nice. Actually, that would be kind of funny if, not like funny ha-ha, but kind of nice funny, if they end up going undefeated at BB&T Arena.
Yeah. And you mentioned looking ahead to that SMU game. That's going to be a defensive game because SMU is third in the country in defense, and UC, like I said, I believe they are fourth in the country in defense. Let me double check that. Let's see. Okay, of course.
That sounds correct.
Yeah, the computer doesn't want to cooperate. Yeah, they're fourth. SMU's given up just about 56 points a game. UC's giving up 59 points a game. And SMU's first in the conference. We're second in the conference. So it's kind of nice having two conference teams in the top four of defense. That shows you the kind of basketball that they're playing in the AAC. So that'll be a little bit of a revenge game, too. So that should be a very fun game to watch.
Oh, definitely looking forward to it. I'm really excited about it. See, I think, though, with part of the reason why their numbers, though, are so good on defense, SMU, like the USF game, obviously they just dominated that. They only gave up 39 in that. Neither one of them could score against UCF. Heck, I think UCF's football team has scored more points in a game this year than their basketball team did a couple times, 51 in a basketball game. I'm pretty sure they beat that in football. And then some of these other teams that they've beaten, Cal Poly, I'm liking UC's odds because the three teams that SMU did lose to is TCU. They gave up 94 points to TCU. So that tells you about how some of the other games are giving up so few. If they can give up 94 and still be that highly rated in defense.
Right, yeah.
Western and Kentucky and Northern Iowa are the other two that they lost to. But it's weird because they beat Arizona, and Arizona is just usually, so it's kind of an odd mix.
Yeah, they beat Arizona 66-60, first game of the year. So that's, I'm looking through their stuff. Texas, PA, that might be Pan American. I'm not sure. They gave up 64 points. USC, they gave up 55 points. And then, again, Central Florida, like you said, they gave up 51. And then South Florida, they gave up 39. So I think those four games right there have really pushed that down. So it's going to be a good matchup. Yeah, and again, this is basketball, man. One loss isn't going to kill you, but I just don't see how. I just think that UC will get SMU this time. Again, hopefully they don't look past Temple tomorrow night, because that for some reason the Owls always seem to bite us in the butt. So,
but yeah, other than Wichita State, well, maybe UConn, but I mean the team is just so stacked this year. They should be beating the majority of these AAC schools. It's not that the AAC is bad. It's just I really feel that UC has 8 players that will eventually be somewhere between the D-League and the NBA, somewhere in that kind of mix. You know, you might not have any of the guys that you're like, oh, that guy's a first-rounder. But there's a lot of guys that you would want on your team, you know, coming off of a bench, that kind of thing, like Troy Copain is currently doing for the Lakeland Magic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I think, that is – I think that's an excellent point. I mean, if you look at UC's bench, you got Moore and Brooks, and then Saseme, Williams, and Diarra, who are all contributors, and you can't forget Trey Scott. I mean, quite honestly, and then also Justin Jennifer or Kane Broom coming off the bench. It's you got a lot of talent there. Now again, that's what baffles me about the Xavier loss. I think that game should have been much closer than it was. I think intimidation played a little bit into it. I think the atmosphere played a little bit into it. But that's the past, and we can't change anything about it. But I think heading into the AAC conference schedule, they're set up really well. And, man, do those Wichita State games look huge.
Oh, they are. They're going to be huge. I mean, they should be nationally. That should be one of the bigger games that night, that week, maybe even that month. Just like coming up on the 10th, Xavier's going to be playing Villanova. I mean, that is going to be huge, because they play the 10th at Villanova, and then they play the 17th at Xavier. So, I mean, basketball in the state of Cincinnati, as Luke Fickle would say, in the state of Cincinnati, is huge. I mean, they are between Xavier and them. You can't really go wrong. And then, heck, even Northern's putting in a good argument, as a solid school. So, yeah, it's a nice time to be in this area. I mean, if you're into basketball and you can't find a good game, there's something wrong with you. There ain't something wrong with the game.
Yeah, you got a problem.
Yeah, so there's all kinds of good stuff there. So, any final thoughts for this show?
No. It's just it was great having Carter on. A great young man who's representing UC very well, and then also we got a lot to look forward to this week in those 2 games for the basketball team.
Excellent. So for the UC Bearcats on the Prowl, part of the Growing Truth Radio Network, thanking you fans and wishing you have a happy New Year.